Hello, my name is Joe Redmond and I'm from TurfCast podcast. It is, of course, a podcast, as it says in the name, and also sort of like a fan channel. We have sort of like videos and stuff on YouTube, so you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and even YouTube as well. So Burnley sit 19th, 1 win, 2 draws, and 6 losses so far this season. What have you made to the start of the season? Well, it's let's be fair. The start to our season has been nothing short of shambolic, has it? And that's the political answer. We've been terrible. It's interesting because we finished 10th last season and never really looked in any danger of going down. And all of a sudden, we start this season in absolutely terrible form and currently in the bottom 3, as you've said. And looking like it's going to be a scrap to stay in the league. And when we finished 10th last season, I was talking a lot about right. We push on now and we try and get into Europe again. And I know a lot of people will sort of like scoff at that, like Burnley in Europe. No, but we've done it once. All right, we got knocked out in the qualifiers, but we qualified for the qualifiers through the Premier League, and that was an incredible achievement for Burnley. So that's what I was talking about. I was talking about maybe winning trophies as well, but it's clear now it's going to be a fight to stay in the league, and I think we can all put that back to the lack of investment in the squad. We've stayed still. If anything, we've probably gone backwards because we let a lot of people leave towards the end of the last season, including Jeff Hendrick, Aaron Lennon, Joe Hart. And we only brought in Dale Stephens. We spent $900,000, and he's turned out to be an absolutely terrible signing. I'm still, I say reluctant to slag him off, I just have done, but I'm still sort of like reluctant to go in too hard on him because I do think he's been playing with a bit of an injury and things like that. So maybe he will come good, but so far he's the wrong side of 30. I think we've signed him a few years too late. He wasn't good enough to get in the Brighton side. A few Brighton players, fans, will say he didn't fit their new system, but ultimately he wasn't good enough. So yeah, that's my opinion on the start of the season so far, and it's because of lack of investment. Right, so Burnley lost 5-0 to Manchester City last week. What went so wrong to lose that heavily? It's just Burnley against Man City. To be honest, if you look at the last few times that we've gone to the Etihad, for some reason it always seems to finish 5-0. I'm not really sure what it is. City just have this thing on us. And a lot of people will go, oh, well, it's because Burnley are, not that good this season and City are. But it's been happening for several years now. Even last season, we went to City and lost 5-0. When, as I've said, we finished 10th. We went to Liverpool, went to Anfield last season. We're the only team not to get beat at Anfield last season. So why we go to the Etihad and just always get absolutely murdered is beyond me. It's actually one of the questions I've been asking this week on our podcast and trying to get fans to answer that. And for us, I think it's personally a bit of a mental block because we've gone there so many times and lost 5-0. I just think they go there in the wrong frame of mind. They go there, well, we've lost 5-0 against us every single time we go. They've already beaten us twice this season now, by the way. They beat us 3-0 in the Carabao Cup, is it called now? In the League Cup. So I think it's just a mental block. And I think it is a little bit of our style of play as well. City are one of them teams that if you stand off them, they'll just stick it in the top bins from 40 yards anyway. Whereas Liverpool, yeah, they have that quality, but Liverpool are more of a side that will pressure and try and get it into the box and score that way. So when you're defending deep against a side like Liverpool, I think it works better than when you're defending deep against City. But I personally think it's a mental block between Burnley and Man City. There's something about Man City that we can't cope with. I'm not really sure what it is. And it's interesting, actually, because even when they were rubbish, back in second division days, they used to stuff us all the time. Honestly, they've just always had this hold over us, and it's weird. It does make the odd victory over them very, 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 very sweet. I remember a George Boyd 1-0 at the Turf, mid-2014, I'm going to say, around that sort of year, and a 3-3 at what was then the City of Manchester Stadium. That were very, very sweet. A last-minute Kevin McDonald equaliser, and I was right next to the fans as well, so that was sweet. But yeah, Man City, for me, it's just a mental block, I think. What did you make of Burnley's transfer business from the summer? Well, I mentioned it in the first answer, didn't I? Our transfer window was shambolic. We let 5 players go, as I mentioned, including Jeff Hendrick, Joe Hart, Aaron Lennon. There's only really Jeff Hendrick there that probably was in the first team or on the fringe of the first team. Joe Hart, he would, in my opinion, rubbish. Nick Pope's far better goalkeeper than him now. Aaron Lennon was in and out. Very rare. He'd come off the bench in the last 10 minutes if we were chasing the game, but very rarely affected the game. I think he had one good game in his 3 years here, to be fair. So for me, our transfer window has been shambolic because the only person that we brought in, as I mentioned, was Dale Stephens, and it's not good enough. Like I said, if you stand still in the Premier League while everyone else moves forward, then you're going to regress. And I think we have regressed as well. I don't think we've just stood still. I think we've regressed. I think the players that we've let go, it's because of the sheer number of them. I don't necessarily think they were very good. Jeff Hendrick, hit and miss, to be honest. And all the rest of them, they could have left for me. But it's the fact that we've brought in Dale Stephens and he's done absolutely nothing. Whereas Jeff Hendrick would have done more of a job than what Dale Stephens has done so far this season. And not only that, the squad's 4 players light now because of we let 5 go and only brought the 1 in. But oh man, we did bring a new goalkeeper in as well, to be fair. But in terms of outfield players, we are lighter. So I think for me, yeah, it's been absolutely shambolic, and you've probably seen the rumours of the takeover. The sooner we get that done, the better for me. Next question: what did you make of Everton's transfer window and season so far? Well, obviously, Everton spent a lot of money in the summer, didn't they? I think it was over £60 million. The one that grabbed all the headlines was the free signing, James Rodriguez. You can't help but admire Everton's activity in the transfer window. But I seem to be saying this every single season. Like every single season, you look at Everton's activity and how much they've spent, and you're like, oh, Everton could now push on. They never seem to, for whatever reason. I've always thought it's because you haven't had like a really good manager like Marco Silva. For me, how he got that job, it's absolute travesty. And then obviously you've got the likes of Sam Allardyce and stuff. It'll keep you up, he'll do a job, but he's not going to get you to that next level, which I think Everton are trying to do. With Carlo Ancelotti, though, I think you do have that manager that can get you to the next level. But your season so far has obviously been a season of 2 halves. I think it's fair to say so far, isn't it? You started absolutely tremendously, beat Tottenham at Tottenham, who are now top of the league as I'm saying this. Absolutely annihilated West Ham. I think you beat Palace as well. Obviously, West Ham was in the cup, I know that, but it was just the amount of quality that you seem to have. I was sitting up and you were top of the league at one point, and everyone was saying, oh, maybe this is the year and Everton push on, but your form seems to have fallen off a cliff. And obviously lost last time out against Leeds, which, no disrespect to Leeds, you've got to be beating teams that are coming up from the Championship, even if there is this sort of aura surrounding Leeds. Mainly that's because of Bielsa and the fact that the media seem to absolutely love Bielsa. I don't necessarily think Leeds are that good. You basically should be beating them, is my point. So it's weird. Your form was amazing. Now it's shambolic. Still not as bad as I was mind. But yeah, it's poor. So it's been a season of 2 halves. And if you can push on and find the early season form, then you should be qualified for Europe and pretty comfortably as well. But you need to turn a corner. But thankfully for you boys, you've got us next, and we can't score or defend. I'm going to say we can't defend. Before the City game, we defended pretty well for the last 2 games now that Ben Mee's back. So fingers crossed we have a good defensive performance again this weekend, but we can't score. So I think, well, we'll get on to the predictions. Thoughts on Sean Dyche and his time as Burnley manager? Well, as you can imagine, Sean Dyche is very well thought of, excuse me, in these parts. He's done brilliantly, and I think he's so underrated as a manager. Like in everybody else, every other team always seems to again scoff and turn their noses up at Sean Dyche. But all you have to do is look at what he's done. When he took over Burnley, when Eddie Howe left to go back to Bournemouth, we were a very poor mid-table Championship side. Eddie Howe had done not much at Burnley. He didn't rip up any trees. He signed a few people that went on to be good players. Danny Ings, Kieran Trippier. But in terms of league positions and stuff, he never really did anything for us. Dyche came in and sorted all that out. He had a season of consolidation where we just finished mid-table. But that was his first season. He took over halfway through the season. I think he took over around November time. It's a long time ago now. It's over 7 years. So I might not be 100% correct on that. But what he's done since then, promotion in his first full season, relegated, but then winning the Champions League. I wish. Winning the Championship, should I say. And winning it with a 23 games unbeaten run. We were absolutely phenomenal that season. But it don't get talked about as much as what it should do. But yet when Leeds and Wolves win the Championship, everyone's going on about them. And then we qualified for Europe as well. So not many people would have ever had Sean Dyche or Burnley doing anything like that, and I think people need to realise how good of a manager he is, and I think people do turn their nose up at him simply because of his style of play. But I honestly believe if he was at a club spending as much as Everton had, or spending as much as Villa had, or Fulham, then he will buy different kinds of players and adapt. Obviously, time will tell when he gets another job. If he gets another job, fingers crossed he doesn't. But I love Sean Dyche, obviously, and I think every single Burnley fan would do. Goal for the season and predicted finish. Goal for the season right now is just stay up. We've been so poor to the start of this season. I just think I will rip your hand off right now for 17th. That's how poor we've been. I'm not normally one of them Burnley fans. A lot of Burnley fans start every Premier League season and say, "Oh, finish 17th," and then we'll go from there. No, I'm one of them that always wants to progress and push. I don't think there's any point if you're not wanting to just continuously improve and get to the next step. I don't really see the point if you're not trying to do that. But this season for me, yeah, please just finish 17th. Predicted finish, I am going to say 17th simply because I still believe there's 3 teams worse than us this season. When we turn a corner and turn it better, or we start playing like we did against Palace, then I think we can stay up. I still think West Brom, Fulham, and Sheffield United are worse than us. Sheffield United, I'm a bit worried about because I think they can turn a corner. But from what I've seen so far this season, they're not going to. Fulham are getting some wins now as well, as are West Brom. So yeah, it's a little bit worrying, but I still think we're better than them 3. Surely, I think we are better than them 3. So I'm going to say 17th. Burnley's likely lineup for Everton on Saturday. Burnley's likely lineup will be Nick Pope in goal, Charlie Taylor at left back, Ben Mee, Tarkett, and either Matty Loughton or Phil Bardsley at right back. Probably Matty Loughton, although he was poor against Man City, but so was everybody. Dwight McNeil on the left. The midfield, I'm hoping for Westy and Brownhill. Brownhill did have a back injury, so didn't play against Man City. And on the right-hand side midfield, I'm hoping for Johan Berg Gudmundsson, but he's very, very injury-prone. And then for me, top 2, Jay Rodriguez and Chris Wood. Chris Wood gets a lot of stick, but he's been our leading goal scorer for the past 3 seasons now. He's currently the leading goal scorer again now this season. All right, he's only scored twice, but still. But when he plays up front with Jay Rodriguez, for me, he is our best finisher, easily our best finisher. So them 2 up front for me. You've got Jay coming deep, getting the ball in midfield, getting it out wide, and then Chris finishing him off. So fingers crossed we can do that on Saturday. Obviously, you won't be agreeing with that. Danger men for Burnley. Well, this season, mate, absolutely nobody. But no, if we turn up, it's Dwight McNeil and Chris Wood. Chris Wood's going to be the guy that finishes the chances, and hopefully Dwight McNeil's going to be the one that creates them and gets on the ball. But Dwight's had a poor season this season, so maybe not so danger men at the minute. And Chris Wood's, even though I've just been sort of like bigging him up, he's not had the best to start. Fingers crossed he can start getting some goals and going from there. But yeah. Dwight McNeil and Chris Wood. Right, final question. Best or worst strangest time you've met a celebrity or footballer? I think you'll like this one then. Joey Barton. Obviously he's an Everton fan. Joey Barton is from your neck of the woods. I went to France for Euro 2016. The first game, who do we play now? Russia. We played Russia. And I was in Marseille, obviously the south of France. And we'd just gone into our Airbnb rented accommodation. There were a French chap in there. We gave him all his money. He was giving us all the rules. He's like, don't break this, don't do that, no beers or whatever, don't make a mess, please tidy up when you leave, all that sort of stuff. You know how it is. And we'd already been supping on train. We'd been supping on the plane because we had a big train ride. I can't remember where it was from, into Marseille. We met loads of lads from Chesterfield or Rockby. There were like 4 or 5 of us. I can't remember exactly, but we were all smashed. Anyway, we walked out of our accommodation, which we just paid for, and Joey Barton was literally there. I walked out and he was literally just there. And I'm looking at him like, Joey Barton? And my mate come out behind me and went, Joey Barton! And obviously at this time, he was playing for Burnley. We'd just left Burnley to go to Rangers. And he was like, you're right there, lads! Perfect Scouse accent there, by the way. And we're like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm doing some reporting for whatever, I can't remember, some French TV thing. So we're just walking down the street with Joey Barton. It was absolutely class. We walked down this big hill, just chatting to Joey Barton about why he felt like he needed to leave and go to Rangers and stuff. And he was really honest. He just said, I can't really, it's a big opportunity, a massive club. Obviously, it didn't work out for him in the end. I can't really turn that down, to be fair. And we were like, yeah, fair enough, we understand. And I'm like, oh, we'll get some beers if you want. You can have some beers with us. And like, I can't, I'm working. I was chatting to another lad whose name I can't remember. He was his mate. I think he was an Everton fan, actually, this guy. He was definitely a Scouser anyway. Just walking down the street, and then all of a sudden we got to the bottom of the street, and there were loads of locals down there. And obviously he played for Marseille, didn't he? So they all recognised him. They all came running over, and then they sort of like mobbed him away from us. But he was like, all right, see you lads, good to talk to you and stuff. So yeah, that's probably the best one.